Right, video today is a bit of a weird one, but it's on the four-track. Now, you know this thing here that I've still got two spaces for, don't know what I'm going to use them for yet, but when I turn the ignition on is when all this works. That's how I've wired it. But what I want to happen is these stay on when the ignition's off, but not for ages. So I don't want to like wire it up to the permanent live from the battery, because that would be a pain, because then I'd have to remember to turn them off. But like, say for instance, I've got these rock lights, which is just like little LEDs underneath. It's more of a puddle light, to be honest, just to illuminate the ground. And the DRLs as well, they're quite bright at night for here, because it lights up this area of the drive. But as soon as I turn the ignition off, they go off, which is a pain because I can't really see. I've got a couple of these little side wall light things, but if I'm somewhere else and it's dark, then it would just be nice if they stayed on, a bit like the newer cars, you know, it's like the get me home lights, whatever they're called. So what I want to do is get them, all of that panel, to stay on for a bit of time, so that you can turn the ignition off and these will stay on for a minute or 2 minutes, whatever. And yeah, basically. So what I've done is I've ordered a time delayed relay from AliExpress for like £2, and I'm going to print out a thing, a little case, 3D print it, so that it will fit somewhere under the dash or whatever, or in the bonnet, engine bay, whatever you want to call it, and it will stay on basically for however long I want it to stay on for. So that's the plan. So I'm going to go and, well, I've already ordered it, should be here hopefully today. Little 3D printed case, just finished. It's all supports, by the way, you've got to take all that off. But this is where the piece de resistance should just sit in there, and then these are like little button things, so you can push the buttons. I'll go the other way. Inside. Oh. So I've 3D printed this box just off a file online. I've put in some, there you go, some of those heat things, threaded inserts, a few of them, and the same, oh Christ, hang on, there you go, same on there to hold it in. It's only loose at the minute. And then this, I had to do a bit of butchery because I mucked up the measurements. But these are like little buttons, like them. And then that will go on there and screw in, and then push them. They literally just push the buttons on the board, like that. So that's all they're doing. And then little wire entry there. Don't know if it's big enough, might have to drill it out a little bit, it looks a bit small. And then wire it up. Obviously I'm going to have to take it back out, but I just wanted to make sure it fits. But you can also see the screen in there as well. I might redo this top one because it's a bit, didn't come out very well. I should have put that on the bottom really, instead of the top. But anyway, there you go. So I'm going to do a bit of wiring. Here you go. I've only got certain colours of wires, so I just have to label them, but I'll just terminate them in there. Basically you got 12 volt in, and then let me point with this. 12 volt comes into there, that's permanent live, and then it loops out, goes up to the common on the relay side. So these are the ones that are switched, and then ground in there, loop out, the ground in there, and then this one is going to be the one that's the ignition live. So when the ignition comes on, that will sense it, and that used to go to the lights and stuff, but now this one there, that's going to go to the lights and stuff. So basically we're just switching that there, and all the rest is just to get this to work. So 12 volt comes in, bosh, goes to there, and then when that gets ignition, it will turn on, stay on, so that will be a loop, that will be closed, and that will stay on until that goes off, and then it'll start the timer, and then you can have it for like 1.1 seconds all the way up to 999 seconds. So that's what that's for, and that's how you wire it. And I'm just going to join all these somewhere, make a nice little loom, and then put the lid on. Job done. Right, so there it is. Obviously it's crudely just wired in at the minute, but that is my timed output from that, and that goes off to, I'll show you, to that cable there, which goes into that box there. So that basically, when that receives voltage, it turns this on. Now, as it was, like I said earlier, when you turn it on, great, but when you turn the key off, the ignition goes off. Obviously that goes off, which is what you want. But now, because we've tapped into that, we've got a permanent 12-volt feed to this, and yeah, which is just literally just chucked in that little plug there for a minute from the radio, just to make sure it works. So 12-volt comes in, and then we've got a ground there. I've just sort of jammed it on there for a minute just to get it working. And then the ignition comes from, I've got a little ignition block there. So anything on that Wago there is ignition live. So when you turn the key on, it comes on. So basically, when you turn the key on, that becomes live. That triggers this relay. And then that sends 12-volt out to here, and then that goes off to that box. So in theory, I did just sort of bench test this to set up like a 30-second timer. P4 is the one that you want in the settings, which is just a basic off timer. So it will stay on until it loses that trigger signal, and then it will count down for however long you set it, up to 99 seconds, and then it will turn off. So it will feed the permanent 12-volt from the battery for that set amount of time to that wire. So let's give it a go. I haven't actually tried this yet. So accessories. So that's on. So we've got an ignition feed to that, and that's just doing what it should. So if I turn, let's put on some lights. Can you see? You can see in the back there some lights there. See that? Right, so if I now turn the ignition off, there we go, the timer has started. So normally that light would be gone off now. So that's going to count down from 30. 30 seconds. Oh, and there it goes, just gone off. So that works lovely. So now I just need to actually wire it properly. And the reason for this scoop there is so that we can put it around something. Like, I think there's some there's a bar up there somewhere basically, and then we can put it around there and then just either zip tie it or fix it somehow into there, and then we'll never see it again. And the draw on that is next to nothing because it's only a couple of little LCDs. So yeah, it's next to nothing. It's not going to do any power draw really, as long as you've got a healthy battery. So now I just need to sort all this out, blah blah blah, and we're good to go. And then we can change that setting. I'll probably set it for like 2 minutes or something. Let me have a quick look now. So it should be okay. The camera's not going to focus very well. So if I go set, so that's the P4, that's the one we want. OP is how long it stays open for, and it's set for 30. So if we hold set, click it again, wait for that, and then I think, there you go, so we can go up and down. So if we do 120, there we go, and then hold set, there we go. So that should be set now. So if I put the ignition back on again, so that's on, off. So that should go past the 30 seconds now. And yeah, we will find out. But I mean, the actual print, I was going to reprint the top, but I thought there's literally no point because you're never going to see it. What I should have done was had this on the bottom, and then that'd all be nice. You wouldn't see these lines, but there's no point in me redoing it because it's going to be sat up underneath the dashboard anyway, so it'll do. It's absolutely fine. If you wonder what the white stuff is, that's white lithium grease spray stuff, just to make sure that these go in and out nicely, which they do. And yeah, perfect. I've just still got to put a couple of screws in and it's done. And obviously I've got to wire it up. So yeah, happy days. So as the sun's starting to go down a bit, look at that sunset, isn't that nice? Lovely. Anyway, best test it out. So it's all wired in. Just got to cable tie some of those loose cables up there, get them out of the way. But here we go, ignition on. This is on. Still got 2 more spaces to fill here. Don't know what I'm going to use them for yet. But anyway, let's put the lights on. Oh, they look really blue there. They're actually white to the eye, but whatever. So that one looks a bit whiter. Don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, right, the glow plugs are warming, so let's just turn that off for a sec. Stop it dimming. Right, anyway, but there you go. That's just proof that it works. So that is staying on. Put the rock lights on, so they're on, and the ignition is off. So they will stay on. I've got a little light up there, which is off for that as well. Ignore that, by the way. That's another video. I'll show you that in the next one. But there you go. It's working. Why does that look so blue? It looks really blue on camera, but it's white to the eye. This one looks white, but I think that's because of that. But anyway, there you go. So it's still on. So now I could just walk away. So if I was out, put the DRLs on and the ambers on. That's the whole lot then. They're all still on, even though the ignition is off. That will stay on for 2 minutes, I set it to. There you go, you can see the old DRLs there nicely. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So it means that now I can get out of the car, turn the ignition off, and like these will go off, whatever, as it was. So say I've just pulled up, put the rock lights on so you can see, because it's always really dark out here because there's nothing around. Literally, there's a house over there somewhere. Where is it? Up there. That's a house. That's an old barn thing. I think they cut wood or something. But anyway, so yeah, there's not a lot of light out here. I've got a couple of outside lights, but this will just light the floor up so you can actually see, and that will just give us a little bit of ambient light ready to get into the house, and then that will go off. So yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching. It's really dark. There you go. Oh, it's just gone off. All works. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.